In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to free up 19 to 27 hours per week by hiring and managing an A-player personal or executive assistant. If you still spend time on any of these things, invoicing, calendar management, emailing, booking appointments, researching things online, random communication with your team that you don't have to, then you have the potential to free up that many hours every single week. And in fact, I'm going to show you exactly the process I have used to free up all these hours by hiring and managing an A-player personal executive assistant. I'm going to give you our exact SOPs, everything from start to finish. You're going to get access to this, and you will see all the process from finding the right person, running the ads, as well as where to hire, how to screen that person, how to do test tasks. In fact, how I hired my own personal assistant, as well as what interview templates to use, all the way to making an offer, and then all the way to onboarding them, exactly getting the SOP, how to manage them, onboarding hubs, documentation, how to give access to bank accounts the right way, how to communicate, how to set up task lists the right way, and make sure that they are working the best possible way and freeing up all these hours for you so you can work more on the business instead of doing all these low value per hour tasks. So if you want access to this entire board, as well as the entire SOPs here, all of the SOPs is all in here. If you want all of this, including all of the scripts and the entire process, you can just download and duplicate into your own system so you can use that yourself. Then just click on the button or the link under this video and then leave your details, and then we can send this to you so you're getting access to everything in here that I'm going to show you. So the SOPs contain exact templates for job posts, application form, hiring ads, screening table, interview scripts, test tasks, reference checks, offer tables. I have an entire onboarding hub, expectation sheet, task lead setup, development plan, way more. It's going to be all in there. You can see that it's super in depth. Like, it has literally everything you need in here that you need, all the way from hiring, screening, to then managing the person, company overview, having a hub, expectation setting. It's literally all in here. So basically request that with the button or link under the video. And why should you listen? Well, not only have we helped countless agency and B2B businesses scale in the past 7 years and free up their time, but this is the exact system I've used myself to hire my own personal assistant. So I'm going to show you exactly what the benefits are and how you can use it yourself. So let's get into it. Here's the entire overview that we're going to go through step by step so you know exactly how to use it and apply it for yourself. First thing, of course, is important to understand why you need a personal or executive assistant. The main thing is, of course, that if I'm conservatively calculating here how many hours people are spending on these tasks, it's easily 2 hours per week, that you spend on any finance or expenses or admin. It can be more, it can be less. Then appointments, depends, there's even way more appointments you might be scheduling, or calendar management. 30 minutes per week, it's probably even more, right? Clearing email inbox, that is easily, people spend 1 hour on this every day. Can be more, can be less. Finding restaurants, booking hotels, booking flights. Think about this. How much time do you spend on this? Sometimes more, sometimes less, depends on your lifestyle. But all this time, but also the mental effort, the mental capacity. Think about this. You had a long day of work. Oh, I need to still book this. I need to still find this, or I need to find this. It's not only time. The time is here, like, sure, it can be more, can be less, but it's all the mental capacity that you don't have to think about. Then you can spend more time on things that actually make you money and actually move the needle forward. Planning events, online shopping, right? How often are you like, oh, damn, I ran out of some supplements here, or ran out of this. I need to order something on Amazon, or things like this. All time plus mental capacity. Birthday, someone needs a gift, or you want to make someone a surprise. You can, of course, select the final gift, but have someone do research for you, So also time there. That way you can make sure you're also not forgetting this. It's not only the time, it's also the fear of forgetting things like this, right? Researching things online, things you can do, medical stuff, improvements for yourself, things like that. There's a lot of time going into this. And then more on the business front, that's then more executive type of assistant, maybe random team communication that you don't need to be the first person of contact for? How often are you being asked something that you shouldn't be asked for, and it takes time of mental space and capacity away from you? This is something like for a chief of staff or executive assistant that someone can help you as well to actually reduce these hours as well, or any other simple business or personal task that you can delegate. Think about this again, easily 5 to 10 hours per week on top. So conservatively thinking, minimum 19 to 27 hours per week can be freed up from both time that you consider business working hours as well as outside of that, in the evening where you're still randomly checking stuff, on the weekend, that you can all free up to either recharge properly or to make sure you're working more on the business. All right, now here's the solution. Well, you need to hire a personal/executive assistant. Of course, the difference between those, personal is more focusing on the personal tasks here. Executive assistant is more like the business side of things, finances, admin, as well as communication with the team and so on. And you can have someone that does both things actually. Depends where you need to spend and free up more time here. Then you can hire either one or the other. The main responsibilities, administrative, email, calls, appointments, finance, invoices, calendar, travel, research, event planning, online shopping, personal areas. So there's a lot of things, and they can even support you with managing a housekeeper. We, by the way, have also a separate complete training on this on my channel. So check this out as well, how you can then hire someone that takes care of everything: cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, laundry, meal prepping, everything you can imagine. If you need that, check out my channel. We have a complete training on that too. And then the personal assistant can help you with hiring that person as well as managing and communicating and so on. So super good synergy and super good combo. Now, obviously, we have the entire process here, the entire SOP from start to finish, from hiring to the position to the screening to shortlisting to interviewing, final stages, to then having a hub where you manage everything, expectations, time off, exact final details. So the most in-depth training you have ever seen, and you get access to all of this. So this is here the overview, right? The hiring process. First, we're going to get clarity on the position. Then we source, then we screen, then we shortlist, then we interview, then we do final checks, prepare the offer, and then we onboard and manage. Quite simple. So let's get into it. Define first the candidate profile, create a scorecard, a job description, and an application form. The good thing is we have all of this already, right? If you get the SOP, when you click on the button or on the link below, and we'll send this to you, then you will have here everything already. You need to define who do you need. So let's get into this. Usually we need someone that is, in terms of personality, ideally is someone, an executive personality. If you know the 16 personalities, that's an ESTJ, someone that's extroverted, observant, thinking, and judging. There can be variations to this for sure, but this is a great fit. And if we're looking at the DISC model, you need someone ideally that's on the front where they are here a mix of cautious, slight red with maybe a little bit of green. That's here usually ideal. So inside the SOP, we go into way more detail in terms of availability. You can hire both part and full time. It depends on how much workload you have. We go deeper here. Skills and experience as well. You know what experience they need to have, the type of tasks they need to have experience with from the previous positions. Then more detail into the personality, color, and type. You know, the main things, as I said, is red, blue, some green animals, loyal, polite, organized, executor, straight to the point. Finally, we go also location, where to hire from. We have some countries in here that we think are a really good fit for hiring assistants. Depends where you live, but we go deeper into this here as well. We have an exact template for a scorecard that you can use in the hiring to directly go into the mission, the success KPI, responsibilities, competencies that are important for the person, and your company values in here. Then next up, we have a job description. We have templates exactly for a simple job description as well as in more depth that you can directly use for LinkedIn and other platforms. For example, here's a section, the experience they need to have in the past, the language skills, what tools they need to use, traits, and there's way more in here. Then additionally, we have here a template for the application form. So we already have an entire template that we have used ourselves. You can just duplicate. So you can actually have a screening form. When you start hiring people, they need to fill this out to apply, and then you have all the information. So here it shows what questions we're asking, but you can just get this itself and then just duplicate it into your own account. And so we ask about experience, we ask about what they've done in the past, language skills, as well as other skills. So there's a lot of things in here. We also check personality color, CV, and a lot of cool questions that screen people. Here on the board, you have the whole overview of all the questions, as well as here, we have an example, the way it shows up in the form, like with these cards here, so that you basically directly can screen what experience they have, and they have to fill out each one of those here. Also go into depth where exactly to hire them from. LinkedIn, Meta Ads, Indeed, and other sources such as local groups and job boards. Depends on the country, but we go into this in much more depth in here. We have an exact training here exactly on how to run the ad, specifically templates, Jotform template, Canva template, everything in here, how to write the ad copy even, so you get something like this, what we use ourselves to hire, and also more info on other positions and other platforms and how to hire them in there. So everything in depth that you need. Because the next step, as I said, would be then to source candidates. For this second step, deciding on the sourcing channels, we use a combination of LinkedIn, Meta, and Indeed. They are very good for this. Meta is even really good. And I show in the SOP in more detail how to decide which one to use and where for which countries and all of this. And then here from there, even we have in the training exactly how to set up the ads. So you have something like this, and also examples of how to make the post itself and the ad itself. So everything plug and play, super easy for you. And then the third step is then screening the application, which means obviously when people apply, you're sending them to this jot form here, or a form, they fill it out, and then you get an application like this. You get an application here, you get a submission where they say their experience and form, and then you can use an AI system, or at the beginning even yourself, to basically shortlist, maybe consider them, that's yellow or red is rejected, based on their experience and also their answers in there. And we have exactly the criteria: location, experience, personality, color, language skills, and pre-interview screening, how exactly you screen that to make this very simple for yourself. In the SOP, you find all here under application screening, the exact process, how to do it, all in depth here, as well as the criteria in depth, what to screen for, how to go about it. Ideally, you hire a personal assistant actually locally in your area, but you don't have to. There's also option to hire someone abroad. Depends on many factors. We go into detail into all of these here. Then additionally, we have here a template for how to analyze the data to make sure that you get the right applicants and how much you get on everything, and have a nice overview of this. And then we go already into the shortlist and screening process. Now, the process works like this. You basically send them an email to the ones that are shortlisted, and then you just request from them a video intro and mini test task. And then after that, if you want, you can do a short screening phone call. We have all test and templates for this. The task works like this. We have an example that you can just replicate for yourself. We send them a doc, and inside that doc, their task is to record a short intro video with the Loom, answer a few questions about their motivation. That's really good. That screens very nice. We give instructions here, and then also have a mini research task. This is very good for a personal assistant or executive assistant, some form of research, how they explain things. And you're killing so many birds with one stone here. First of all, you understand and save time about their goals, motivation, and drive, so you don't have to jump immediately on an interview. And you also see, can they follow instructions when you say maximum 5 minutes, camera on, share your screen, use Loom? Are they doing this, right? And then also here as well, for example, you can say, hey, find a restaurant or research this for me. Super easy, doesn't take them long. You don't have to pay for 5-minute video, but you can also see how do they communicate, how detailed are they, how thorough are they, and then things like this. At the end of your video, tell us what's your favorite tool for researching things as a PA, right? So that's where you can see, are they answering all the last questions and reading everything properly? So very important. This itself is a screening, doesn't take long. And then you're going to get answers like this. This is, for example, a video introduction here, and then, a Bloom video here. That's exactly how I hired my own personal assistant. So we're giving actually all of the emails and the next steps, all of this to you, templates, what to send them. We have even the exact task template here as well, that this link you just send to people then. And then afterwards, we have an entire interview script, how to screen people if you want to have a call afterwards to check them, after the video, if they're actually any good. And the next step Either you, after the test task, you do another screening call if you want to be really sure, or you can also directly invite them for a deeper in-person or rather Zoom interview, right? Which is what we call the who and focus interview. And for this, we have the exact templates here as well. So you can go through the questions, write down the answers that they give, and even score the quality of the answer. So you're really making a good decision to hire the right person. And exactly, we have all the questions you should ask them. So super easy how to do it, so you're getting really an A player, right? And so basically here's all the scripts. We even have checklists at the end to make sure you have the right questions answered and you screen for the right things. And here's examples of what we are used, the questions in here, and then the scoring of the questions and so on. So you get all of this. That way you have a really good system, so you're attracting real A players that know what they're doing. The next step would be here final checks, which is then either doing reference checks, especially for executive assistants. I recommend this, checking in with past positions. We have an entire script as well, how to do the reference checks, what to ask. So you're going to get this too, to make sure there's no red flags before you start making the offer. Because for the offer as well, we have exact templates, how to send the email, how to make the offer, examples for agreements, things like this. Here's an example of an offer email and so on. Which in our SOPs are here, all the templates for the interview invites, for the interview itself, then the final checks, the next steps, reference checks, and then the offer preparation, all the way email to contract, and then from there, everything you need to get into the onboarding. The next step then is the onboarding itself. Once you made the decision, made the offer to the right person, the cool thing is we have an entire hub, an entire document stack you can just copy and then use this to manage and give access to your personal assistant. Because in there, you have everything you need. You have everything from an overview about your company. Then you put in there the expectations and what the scorecard is for the position. So you set the right expectations from the start, the role expectations, how you communicate, time off, financial details, payments, your availability, and all best practices here. I'll show you in a second in more detail. So basically, we have a checklist for this. You prepare the hub, you create a company email account, set up the tools, welcome email, kickoff call, and invite them to meetings. All right. We have an exact checklist for this inside our SOPs, so you're not overwhelmed and you can just give them access step by step. So it's actually quite simple. In our SOP, we have a board here that maps it all out for you. And then is everything you just have to do. It's all explained in here. Create that, how to do it, set up this, set up this, set up this, set up this. So it's an easy checklist for you to follow and what you need to do to make sure everything is going smoothly. And then you just follow this process and you basically give them access. The cool thing is, as I showed you, we have this hub here that I'll show you in a second. The other thing is, of course, we have also how to give them access to credit cards and banks and all the details here, how you make sure that's also super good and safe. Credit cards, bank access is important that they have access to, so that you make sure they can actually do things for you, such as buying things and so on, right? But here's also the right way to go about it, so you can feel really safe. There's great approaches there. For example, there is banks where you can set limits and approvals and all of that, team feature. So we show you exactly how to set this up all in here. And then, as I said, the most important thing is the personal assistant hub. So you can just duplicate this and then give this to your newly hired personal or executive assistant, and then it explains in itself, it's basically a folder for them to organize themselves. And the cool thing is here we have what they are going to be sent on their first day. Hey, great to have you on board. Start here. Then you make a video here. There's a checklist, what they need to do first. You can link further resources, training materials for them, and way more. So this sets them really off on a nice start. Doesn't take you time on onboarding because you just set this up once, and then you can use this even for other employees that you have. We, by the way, have a full hiring training for other employees in your agency, in your business. Doesn't matter. You can find it on my channel as well, going way more into depth into hiring, onboarding, and training. But this itself is also going to be super valuable for you. We have an exact template about company overview, who you are, telling more about what you do and so on, so they directly know that. We have exact templates for all of this. Then also role expectations and hours. You put your scorecard. We have expectations itself, what we expect from them right from the start, working standards, what we don't accept. Super important to make sure they work through this directly at the first time and to make sure they are really set up correctly. Role-specific expectations here as well. We have complete templates for this. You can just give them how you communicate and manage your tasks. We have example task lists here as well of literally my own PA, how to do that, how to sort this by priority for them, setting due dates, they tracking their time. It's all explained in here in much more detail so that you can see some example tasks that we had here as well as how they can take time off. Financial detail access that you can add in here, how you do payments, for example. Then you can add more about your availability, for example. You can add more things in here. Here's an example, and you can give them access to your calendar here as well, of course, and then that they know when you're best available. And then there's way more best practices here inside the SOPs. Best practices for research, how they should use AI and increase their productivity. It's all explained in here, how the PA can use AI. Then also agreements when you work with different service providers. And then from here, we have a whole development plan where you can have the PA or executive assistant reflect on the tasks, how they went, how satisfied they are with their time management and output, learnings, getting better, and then having your own, reflections and how happy you are. You do this once per month, and that way you make sure they are getting better and better with you. And there's examples for reflection questions and so on. We have an entire template also on how to do one-on-one calls to develop them, especially for executive assistant. That's going to be really important to make sure they're growing and getting better. Entire templates here as well for reviewing the goals, the learnings of the month, successes and wins. And then from there, lining up skills that they need to develop and to improve their goals and how they are moving forward. Then also list of learning materials and way more. This wraps up the entire system. You have an entire system from start to finish, how to hire, manage an A-player, personal or executive assistant, and actually free up these hours every week so you can spend more time on the business. So if you want this one here, this exact method, this exact system here, including the board, including all of the SOPs I showed you here, everything that we went through, then click on the button or the link under the video and leave your details so we can send this to you and that you make sure that you're gonna get this. Then on top, you will also see that we have tons of similar trainings on my channel as well as linked here on how to hire a top housekeeper and chef that your PA or EA can help you manage as well. So you're freeing up more time from things such as laundry, cooking, washing dishes, meal prep, things like that, grocery shopping as well as many more trainings for scaling your agency or B2B business, offer A-player hiring, agency client acquisition, sales training, way more here, delegation processes, SOP as well. So make sure to subscribe to my channel as well, and that way you get access to all of these and make sure you don't miss out on any of these trainings. As well as if you, of course, want help with scaling your business to pass 100K per month and cut your time in the operations in half or cut time from things that you shouldn't do anymore, then you can come here and book a game plan, go to my website and make sure to have a call and we can discuss a detailed plan for you to help you achieve this, as we have done with hundreds of other agency owners here in the past as well. Hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, send a message or comment below, and seeing you then on our call or on the next video.